Hi, I'm Paul Sullenberger, and in this video, we're going to go over the installation on the CeramicSpeed OSPW Aero for Shimano 12-speed 9250 and 8150 derailleurs. Go ahead and start with your bike in a stand, and we're going to remove the rear wheel, followed by the chain. We'll set the chain aside as we will use a new uncut chain to measure our new chain length. Now, we're going to shift your rear derailleur up past the motor housing to allow the cage to rotate freely. And then on the bottom of the derailleur, there is a Torx T10 screw that we will remove. Be sure to hang on to this as it will be reused. Now, go ahead, and there's a little bit of spring tension as you bring the derailleur cage away from the derailleur body. We can set aside the stock cage. You will reuse the spring, and then for Ultegra derailleurs, you'll reuse the factory body spacer. For Dura-Ace derailleurs, you will use the included new, thicker spacer for the derailleur body. We will now unbox the OSPW Aero. First, we'll have the cage assembly, followed by a pulley wheel oil bottle for maintenance. And for Dura-Ace 9200, 9250 derailleurs, we have a derailleur body spacer. You will use the stock spacer for Ultegra 8100 series derailleurs. And finally, we have installation card with warning card and sticker sheet. For this Dura-Ace installation, we have the new supplied CeramicSpeed spacer, the original OE spring, which will be aligned in the back of the derailleur, followed by the spacer lining up with the groove on the back of the derailleur. And then we're going to go ahead and align the OSPW cage with the spring, placing the spring hook in the second from lowest spring tension. This will initially start upside down, engage, and now we're going to rotate back around past the mounting point. We can reinstall the derailleur screw and tighten that to a moderate torque. With the retaining screw tight, you go ahead, make sure there's no lateral play or movement in the derailleur cage. Test the spring tension to make sure it moves smoothly and freely. Now we're ready to shift back down to the bottom, install the rear wheel, and then measure and install the chain. To install the wheel, we'll go ahead and pull the derailleur back, aligning the wheel. We're now ready to install our new chain. We can do so without disassembling of the cage, but we want to snake the chain above the lower pulley and have it come out in front of the upper pulley, and then we'll feed the chain through the bottom. So we're going to go ahead, and we're going to pull the derailleur cage back to us to make it easy to feed in the upper pulley. And we're going to pull this through and forward, and then we'll be ready to move the chain through and below the lower pulley. When you feed the chain through at the bottom, you want to take special care not to go outside of the lower tower bolt, but rather above it. And then you can tell as the chain moves in your hand back and forth that there's no dragging and we're not catching on anything. We can now pull the chain back, feed the top up and over the cassette, and then through the front derailleur. We're gonna go ahead and make sure we're in the small chain ring, and then we're gonna bring the cassette down together. And when you're in the smallest cog available in the rear, we wanna bring the chain, and we're going to bring just a little bit of tension, -1 link. We'll cut the chain here, and then you'll be ready to adjust your trim. With our chain now cut at the correct length, we're going to go ahead and we're going to check our top and our bottom stops, confirm our B-gap, and then make sure our trim is adjusted throughout. We want to be sure to take special note here in our largest gear combination of a big chain ring and a large cog, and ensure that there's clearance at the top of the cage and the front of the cassette. We're going to check our B-gap, space between the top of the cassette and the upper pulley, and we're targeting just 4 to 7 millimeters, nice and close placement there, and that's adjusted here for the B-gap adjustment. And next, we're gonna look at our alignment of the top, making sure the derailleur can appropriately align with the largest cog without too much extra play. And then we'll come down and do the same with the smaller side. And again, we're gonna take a look from the lowest cog lined up with the pulley, ensuring our alignment is adequate. To simplify the removal and the installation of the wheel, with the OSPW Aero system for Shimano, it's best if you're in a small chainring up front in the experience of a 2x setup, or if you only have a 1x, avoid the smallest cog in the rear to ensure you have plenty of room for motion and clearance on the rear derailleur, cage, and cassette. Once you give it a wipe down and your gearing is confirmed, you're now ready to go ride.